everyone, this is the second movie for Word Chapter 3, Pause and Practice Number 2. So we left off where we changed the styling of the footnotes to change the font size and the line spacing. So we're on step 7 on page W3-158, and we're going to start working with citations and references. So there's some terminology that I want you to make sure you understand. The first thing we're going to do is to pick what style guide we're using. And so in the references, that's this style button. And so each of these style guides has their own structure, how they particularly do their references, right? So they all are just a little bit different. So we're going to pick MLA, which stands for Modern Language. I just blanked on what the I is. Okay, MLA. I'm used to doing APA. Just that's what I always did throughout college. But we'll start with the MLA, which is usually like English and those type of publications. All right, so go to the beginning. And step 8, it says add a new source and insert a citation. So those are two terms I want you to understand. First of all, a source is a reference that you use. It could be a journal article, it could be a book, it could be a chapter, it could be a web page, it could be a movie. Whatever that source is, you need to define what that source is. Then you can use that source through citations. In other words, you're citing within the document when you are using material that you gleaned from that source. So the source is in there one time, but you can cite it many times depending on when you're using it. Both MLA and AP are what's known as parenthetical citation styles, meaning that within the paragraph, you are producing the citation. You are putting it right in that document, right at that spot. So we're going to set the MLA, and then we're going to put in a new source. So we want to find the word schedule. It's the end of the first paragraph under general guidelines. And one of the things that you want to know about citations is that it always comes before the period. So I want to position my insertion point at the end of the word but before the period. Okay? So now we're going to come up here and we're going to say insert citation, and we want to add a new source because we don't have any sources there. There's nothing that came up right here. So we're going to say add a new source. So the first thing when we're adding a source is you have to define what type of source it is, right? So book section, report, I mean there's many of them. This first one is going to be a book, and the author is Edward R. Burke. The title is The Complete Book of Long-Distance Cycling. The year is 2013. The city of the publication was New York. The publisher is Rodale Books. And then the tag name is Burke. Okay? So we are presenting the material that we need in order to use this book as a reference. So I'm going to go ahead and do OK. Notice that the word Burke appears where I just said to right? So we want to go to this. So that is when we inserted, and we know the citation. So now if I come up here and do insert, hey, there's that. So if I had to do any changes with this, I could manage my sources, right? So over here so here's the list of sources that you've added. So you can go through and add, right? When you use them and you're actually citing them, there is a check mark, okay? So watch what happens when we're going to do this next thing. So we're going to find the word speed in Paces of Rides. Okay, so Paces of Rides, after the word speed, but before the period, right? We're going to do an insert citation, but this time I don't have all of the pieces of information that I need to put the source in. So I'm just going to say, you know what, let's add a placeholder here. I know I need to come in here and finish and put all of the citations, but I don't have it together yet. But I don't want to lose the fact that I need to cite this. So this is going to be called Velo News. And okay. So we've got Velo News here, but look when I go to Manage Sources. Do you see Velo News has a question mark? That means I put a placeholder here for Velo News, but I don't have the stuff. I don't have all of the information for it. So I'm working on my document. I finally get all of the information that I need for Velo News, right? I have all of the stuff. So now I can go in and fix this and change it from a placeholder to an actual citation. So, you know, in reality it wouldn't be immediately, otherwise you would have just done it. It would have been, you know, whatever it takes you to find all the pieces of information that you need. So we're going to go up to Manage Sources. We're going to click on Velo News, and we want to edit that, right? So the one with the question mark, we're going to edit it. So there's nothing in here. We're just saying, hey, put a little sticky right there. So excuse me, we want to show all bibliography fields. And this source is not a book, but rather it's a document from a website. So we're going to change the source, and notice that what's required changes. So it's a corporate author. So we're going to click on that because it's not actually a person, but rather just from a corporation. And it's going to be called Velo News is the corporate author. And the name of the web page is Training Tips for Recreational Cyclists. Tab. The website is velonews.com. And the year, not the year, but the year accessed, right? So when you're working with websites, it's important to say when you got that information. Well, I guess the year is 2016 too. And then the year accessed is 2016, September 14th. And that's important because, you know, websites change. So this was the snapshot of the website that you got this information from. So somebody who is validating your work could go and try and get the website from that date and get it. Okay, so all I did was put the URL in based on what the book is asking me to. We're going to go ahead and say OK. Now look, my question mark is changed to a check mark because it's no longer just a placeholder, but rather I have put all the information. So now we're going to do new and make sure that show all is checked. It's going to be a book. Got to go back up to book. And it's going to be, the author is Thomas Chappell. The title is Base Building for Cyclists, 2014. The city is San Francisco. And the publisher is Velo Press. 3rd edition. Oops. Gotta find, that's editor. We're gonna find edition. Edition 3rd. And the tag name is Chappelle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do OK. So now we have a list, and there's nothing in front of it. So that means I put it in the list, but I haven't used it anywhere, right? So you want to make sure if it's on the list, you're using it. So I'm going to go ahead and close. And I am going to insert the citation into the report. So we're going to go to the second page. After the rest day, I think that's this one. Second sentence, first paragraph. Wait a minute. Go to the second page, and after the rest day and before the period, second sentence of the first. Okay. Up here. See? Right here, rest day. It's my 3rd. Number of rides. Number of rides per week. Okay. So depending on your level of training, the 7th day is an additional rest day. So we want rest day here. So we're going to say insert citation. Hey, and now the citations that we've been building are there. So on this one, we want the Thomas Chappelle one, because we got that from him. So find training week and before the period, page 2, last bulleted item in duration of rides, training week. So right there, insert citation. We're going to do Burke. Find maximal heart rate and before the period, page 3, first paragraph. In training and intensity, see most of it. Maximal heart rate period, so right there. So we're going to do citations, and this one's going to be Chappelle, and then overtraining, page 3, other heart rate factors. So we want to find the word overtraining. This, I'm going to find overtraining. Okay, so there it is. I missed it. So close that. After but before the period. So then we're going to references, insert citation, and Mrs. Velo News. Okay, I'm going to save it. And then I want to insert a bibliography and change the report style. So we want to go to the end of the document, so I did a control end. We're going to do a control enter to do a page break. We want to find the bibliography button, and we're going to do the down arrow, and we're going to pick references. Nope. I'm wrong. Sorry. Select references from. Oh, I was right. References. That's just looked weird to me. Center the reference title. So we're going to center that. And then apply a 10-point after spacing. And we're going to go references, style. So watch what happens here. Style. I'm going to switch it back to APA. All right, so let me change that back. MLA. So like, look, it says Edward, it says Thomas. If I change it to APA in that style, you don't do people's name because they don't want gender to be known, so it's just initials. So that, save and close it. And we're done with this pause and practice. Okay, thanks.